Hey guys, welcome in another episode, A Little Bit of Life podcast, right here with your host, Little. You guys know me. I am all about finding those guests that just get our mind racing, our hearts racing, and yes, get us thinking on topics that we never, ever expected. You guys have seen it, To Throuple. It's on Peacock. If you're like me, you might have binged it quite a few times in a row. I have the married couple, the tag team, the duo, Lauren and Dylan. What's up, guys? Good to see you.
What is all? Thanks for having us on here. We're so excited.
So excited.
I'm excited to have you guys on because you are from Arizona, as everybody knows. So am I. I miss it. It's amazing. So, all right, I got to dive in. We're diving right in. Like, we're not putting our foot into the little kiddie pool. We're just going right under the water. So you guys were the only married couple. Did you feel like that kind of brought kind of expectations of everybody watching you and thinking like, they know what to do, let's kind of follow suit?
Yeah, it's funny because we obviously didn't know what we were going to be getting ourselves into. We didn't know if there was going to be other married couple. And then when we really realized, literally that first day of filming and meeting everybody, like, wow, we are really I guess the furthest along committed or just official, I guess, couple. And it's funny because I feel like a lot of the time just here back at home with our friend groups and everybody that we surround ourselves with, I feel like we always get we're the parents, like mom and dad.
Mom and dad, for sure. And yeah, we had an idea probably would be going into the show with that kind of same experience with our friend group here in Arizona. And all we knew is that we have such a strong bond and love for one another that we want more people to be able to see that. And this is one way that we thought could be possible, is to kind of, share our personal experience with our marriage and our, passion about polyamory and our own experience with it so we can share with others.
But, something too that I think is really cool is that they did a really great job. I mean, they were able to bring on the show anybody who's new to polyamory. So even though we were married, we still were pretty new to polyamory. So, even with that commitment, we were all kind of in this very beginning phase of experimenting and learning, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When we think polyamory, I did a poll. I'm all about interacting. I'm all about picking people's brains. And it's amazing to me because most of the people, 98%, thought that polyamory was just about the sexual, physical connection.
Isn't that crazy? And to be honest with you, I'd be lying if I didn't tell you this. We thought the same.
Yeah.
And this is another inspiration and motivation for us to get on the show to learn more about polyamory, because we didn't really know anything else other than our own personal experience with it, and that we really enjoyed it. So we wanted to kind of pursue it more and get to open up in other ways and challenge ourselves to see, is this truly right or what we want for our own marriage?
Mm-hmm. I think we kind of got to see that, which was amazing, because for those that voted on the interactive poll and they're like, this is just about sex, it's something that's selfish, people want more of that physical connection. I'm like, okay, now go watch the show. And by episode 2, let's come back around and tell me if you feel the same. I feel like we got to watch your process because you dove into it. You could tell you guys were open-minded, which was amazing. You could tell that first connection was very physical. I mean, who doesn't go to a tropical resort and see amazing, beautiful people and think all about physical connection? It's a candy store. Let's have a good time.
Yeah.
Right.
But you guys switched into that emotional connection already into episode 2.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah. So with Becca being our first chosen single, Lauren and I reflecting back on, and we had these conversations openly with Becca as well. We all knew that was just a physical attraction. And again, we had no idea what was going on. Things were very fast paced.
How else really? I mean, that's kind of what set the tone for the whole thing. I mean, we met everybody so quick little conversations.
It was
all you really had. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was speed dating.
I told everybody it was reading the Instagram bios of everybody. And thank you on the next one. And that's when we had our first, a ceremony where we had to pick a single to invite to our room as our first throuple.
So it was with those small conversations, it kind of was going more off of, what that attraction is. But wow, we learned so much and so much more than just physical. If anything, polyamory, I feel that it should be viewed as emotional way before the physical side of it for it to be really successful.
And that's what we want to really be vocal about and educate other people about polyamory, because it isn't just about the physical connection or sexual interactions. It can be, of course, that is all fun, but
it's also, how we view it, and what we've learned. You want everybody that's involved to feel equal, like probably entering a married couple could be a little intimidating or it could be really securing, but you want that to be equal amongst all partners. So it would be just as treating as like a normal relationship. You usually do still have some of the physical side of a relationship for it to be fun and exciting, but you need that emotional aspect too for it to work really well.
Absolutely.
I loved watching. I mean, I knew you guys were coming on. So, of course, I'm like, all of my girlfriends are messaging. And I think we were on every social platform like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of this? And it was funny because they're like, you're only focusing on them. I'm like, first off, they're like my Arizona family. So, but you guys, you guys did things in a very unique way that I think showed the comfortability and the bond that you guys have together. Even on a lot of the different episodes, you guys were together as like a group front. And I noticed that you were talking to everybody, but you also split up on your own and had individual interactions with people, which I think is really important because you are married, you have a strong bond, but you are separate individuals that are looking for something different, but similar at the same time with a partner.
Yeah. It's so true. And even, just for a monogamous couple, I feel like I've always said that you need to be 100% yourself. Partners to be 100% themselves. It's not trying to fill a cup or fill a void to make something work. So, going into it, Dylan and I said, just knowing how long we've been together and the type of love that we have for one another, nothing that can really break us. Really, there's not that. Trust is all there, communication is all there, honesty. So, I think most that could be something that is a little nerve wracking. Like, oh my gosh, my partner's going off and talking to this female or this male, and all of a sudden a guard comes up. But having that true, as long as you have really good communication and trust, that is, essentially why he probably saw that, because I do want him to get to know other people, as do I, but we can come back and talk about it.
And we're always transparent. We know we can trust one another with everything. So having that kind of communication is truly everything. And it is the foundation of not only polyamorous relationships, but it's any kind of relationships. And that's something that Lauren and I always continue to preach about, especially when people are asking us about polyamory. If they want to go about it, what is something that you would recommend, or how would we go? How do you suggest that we go about it? And I first always say, you have to have communication, and you have to be willing to have the deep conversations that are going to be making each other vulnerable and talk about the hard shit.
Because there are going to be times where, you might feel an emotion that you've never felt or feel jealousy that you've never felt. And if you bottle that up and talk about it, that is where issues probably could stem. So it does challenge us even more to have more of those conversations and talk even more, just to make sure we're always on the same page.
And that basically just creates an unbreakable bond, which really further inspired us to do this show as well. We knew we were unbreakable no matter what they threw our way. We're like, we know
there's a lot they threw away.
We're going to be good. But it made it even more exciting to do, have this crazy fun polyamorous experience.
Communication is key. I think if, like you said, it's in a relationship, friendship. I mean, that's how, as humans, we have to be able to communicate and have those really hard conversations. I can't even begin to imagine when you're in a situation like that, if you're going to have those kind of weird, awkward, but deep conversations that bring you through it to the other side. So being in this kind of polyamorous, interesting kind of experiment, was there ever a moment where one of you felt really strongly about a decision and the other one didn't, and you kind of had to come together?
Yeah, and it's funny, I feel like everybody jokes, we're different. Obviously, we're separate people, but we always are same wavelength, same thoughts. We usually like the same things, dislike the same things. But I think the biggest turning point throughout the whole experience, which was shown on the show, was when we had Becca in the house, that very first connection. And there definitely was a stronger connection that I felt like her and I had, where she didn't feel that wholly as much with Dylan. And that was the first time that we've ever experienced anything like that. I could pick up on it. I sense I'm a very intuitive person. And I was like, oh,
she is.
Something does feel, this something feels a little different here. It does not feel all equal. So yes, we had to kind of have that conversation. He almost like kind of wiped it off, acting as if he didn't notice that or feel like there was a difference, you know? Want to share more on that?
Yeah, that was an interesting dynamic because like Lauren said, that was the first time that we actually experienced that. And to me, I was kind of just like, I felt the equalness being off a little bit. And I kind of was blind to it because I was like, no, I don't think this is it. But the more that I assessed the situation and had conversations with Lauren, many of which were not aired on Peacock, the more open to it and accepting of it that I was like, hey, Becca and Lauren have a relationship that her and I don't share. And then if you saw on the episode, I forget what episode it was, maybe episode 2 or maybe on 3, where Lauren and Becca had that conversation saying like, hey, to us being married, like we want it to be equal. And for a successful polyamorous relationship, it needs to be equal. And we're feeling this inequality already. So it's not going to work out for us. And
But brought a good friend into our lives.
absolutely.
For sure.
But hearing Lauren have that conversation, because I wasn't even in the room, that was just a Becca and Lauren conversation. I was like, damn, that's my wife. I love her. No, it's just like, it really hit. And that's the kind of trust and love that we have for one another. And we want to continue to open up to other people.
Mm-hmm. I love how you guys handled situations with the utmost respect for the singles that were in the house, those you were interacting with, but you were still true to yourself and what it was that you were looking for. I've had a lot of, people and guests that have been on reality shows, and they have stated, like, I almost felt like I was in this bubble, in this experiment. I had to like force something to come out of it because that was my expectation going in. And I felt like you guys were really true to what you were looking for and how you felt. I mean, the communication showed even to us on the outside that you knew what you were looking for. You still had an open mind, but you were interested to see if something was available there and how it fit long term into your life, which I liked.
Yeah. And that was a really crazy thing to also think about too. Like there is all this craziness and fun going on in the 5 weeks of filming. And then you take a step back and realize like, that's not reality. Like, what is this going to look like when we're actually back into our normal routines and at home? And, it's been a learning experience ever since we got back from that. That's actually been the most fun and like, I think rewarding part of this is, okay, integrating this into our real own lives and making this an actual real thing.
Yeah. And people don't realize like it was aired or filmed a year ago.
Yeah.
So the entire time after the filming process, we had to be hush hush about it. But Lauren and I came back to reality and we're integrating a lot of the things that we learned throughout the entire experience when we were in Panama, which is really cool. And
I'd say it even has taken a full year, like to really get to like feeling confident about it and making it work. Yeah.
But with that time frame was actually really needed for the time for it to be aired. And then for us to see what we went through and that at the resort, it really made us proud of one another. And we're like, damn, we did that. We really did. And I'm so proud of us. Seriously.
What does your family think? Because we saw your family members in the actual episode, which you're like, just the kind of how you guys reacted. I was like, yes, like this is the greatest because there's nothing better than your support system that know you, like really know you. So what does your family think before when you told them like, hey, we're going into this experience? And then what do they think after?
That's so funny. Well, we told our family that we were going to the experience, obviously, because we weren't going to be able to connect with them for about 6 weeks time. For my mom's side of the family, I would just kind of say, like, hey, we're on this reality show. We'll tell you what it's about
later
when it airs.
Because I knew that they probably would be very understanding of that.
But for my dad, who saw on the show, I told him, because I knew right off the bat, he'd be like, hell yeah, like this is amazing. Like he's so supportive and understanding and as open minded as Lauren and I are. So I told him.
That was an easy one.
He's like, oh, let's go. That's amazing. The fact that he showed up, I mean, we're all mind blown.
Yeah, and that was the coolest thing.
Yeah.
And then I told my mom and like mom's side of the family before going, and did mention what it was about, just like monogamous couples, see if adding in somebody to the relationship. Mom was like, huh? Like, why? Like, that's you're gonna like what you saw on the show. Like, you're gonna your marriage get ruined. Like, I don't want you to be feeling left out. All this stuff. But honestly, I'm really, really glad that that conversation even needed to be had, or even the fact that they brought some of our family onto the show, because to be honest, I don't know if I probably, or we probably wouldn't like been as vocal or opened up to them about this without that.
Yeah.
Like, I think it really like set the tone, got things going to be accepted a little bit
Yeah,
more.
so it pushed us outside of our comfort zone, and the challenge or the relationship session, so to speak, was all about acceptance. And by having our family there, it, you know, allowed us to be in that situation really quick and open up to them about, this is the way that Lauren and I love. You may not understand, and we don't expect you to understand.
Because I feel like they're just kind of like, okay.
One of those like, oh, okay, sure.
That's the thing. We don't expect anybody to understand. This is our love story, and we just want to, share that with people, or like how it works for us. And it's just I don't know, like it makes me like emotional, because I'm just so happy for us. The love that we have for one another. This is really what's truly inspired us to do this even more, because I just want other people to share that with, and I want other people to feel the love that Lauren and I have for one another, because it truly is beautiful. And
there's that, and just kind of like what you said in the beginning, like that poll that you did, where most people think that this is just like a physical, sexual thing. In reality, it's not. And, a lot of people know Dylan and I for us. So to bring this news and fling this on everybody of like, yeah, we're inviting somebody into our marriage, and, having somebody else that we could share that love with. For most, like, they don't understand, they don't get it. Because most, I feel like, unfortunately, there's that stigma of like, oh, there must be something wrong with them, or, oh, they're trying to fill a void.
And we're like, oh no, it's actually quite the opposite. Like, we are so good. We are able to have the open-mindedness to explore, more love
and share that
together. And kind of circling back to, my mom's side of the family, I didn't tell them when we were going on the show, but once the show was getting ready to air, I told them about the show. And it was funny. My grandmother actually handwritten me a note.
A very long note.
Very long. God bless her heart. And, I knew it was going to be a good note. So I didn't even read the note. Instead, I gave her a call and I said, Grandma, I love you to death. The fact that you wrote me a, couple page letter expressing your concern, I appreciate that. And I understand that. And again, all you need to know is that Lauren and I are happier than ever, and we are good. I can assure you that. And again, I don't expect you to understand. That's okay. And I love it. So, and now all our families understand, or don't necessarily understand, but they know that we're good. They know that we're good, and they see us happy. And they're like, honestly, a couple of people on my mom's side of the family, a couple of my friends and family members, they were like, they would fucking do that. Like, that's something's interesting. That's for sure.
Yes. I did the poll. It's been about 2 weeks now, but I did the poll of, talking about polyamory and asking people like, would you do it? And I made the selection very simple, because I feel like, when it comes to this lifestyle, there's so many questions. And I think it's a huge issue of there's a lot of hatred and there's a lot of negativity that surrounds it. But I think it's because of people not being educated and not understanding. And it was funny because when I asked, I was like, what, at the very end of the poll 2 weeks later, I asked those people, if you stated no to this question, why? And I had it open, and so many people, almost 92% stated because I would lose my partner. And it was interesting because I'm like, I think you guys were the direct reflection of you not losing your partner. You're finding yourself in the process, and you're making your bond together even stronger.
I can still yeah, like, I appreciate you for sharing that.
Yes. Yeah. And it's very true. It's very true. And it is, honestly, even though still we're fairly new to this in the grand scheme of things, I feel like we've heard so much. Unfortunately, even though polyamory can be a very beautiful and bonding thing, there are people that take it like anything. There's going to be people good and bad. And I feel like we hear more sometimes the bad than the good. And, I feel like we've met a lot of individuals who haven't had the best experiences because one of the partners was doing things kind of just for the wrong reasons or being kind of shady. And, it is unfortunate that is what a lot of people hear, and we even we even just made like, I guess our first true outside of the TV show, we made our first true like polyamorous marriage post on Instagram. And that was the first time that I've seen that much like hatred on a post. And it really overwhelmed me. And it seemed like a lot of people were coming from either a place of being uneducated about it and just not knowing enough, or who didn't have a good experience with it. And they're like, well, it's working now, but it's not like, and comparing to maybe unfortunately a not so great time for them.
Yeah. And I mean, it always comes down to like the people just don't know enough, or, there's a lot of ignorance around the subject, because most people will not talk about it. Even those that are open to non-monogamy or polyamory, they will not speak about it because they're afraid of what other people will think, or they're afraid that people will shame them, exactly as they did with our recent post. But it's like, that's why I was so excited for this show to go live. It's 2024. Like, this shit has been going on for years, but people don't talk about it. So the fact that this is now streaming worldwide, we can have these hard conversations. And I know Lauren and I have that stable marriage where we're good. We don't care what anybody says or thinks. At the end of the day, again, we know that we're fucking good, and you can either take it or leave it. But we just encourage people to have an open mind and just hear how it works for us. And I think a lot more people are becoming more open-minded to this.
We love the questions.
We absolutely love the questions.
We love the questions.
What's really cool though is a lot of people, after they seen Lauren and I open up about this, the amount of messages that people have sent us saying that they have had several experiences, non-monogamous relationships in the past, they've never told anybody, has been profound. It's again, it just comes down to people are just afraid of what other people think. And it's understandable because people are very mean.
Yeah. It can be very mean behind a keyboard.
Yeah. But we don't give a shit. Yeah.
Same. So your family, you kind of dropped the little breadcrumbs of, hey, we're going on the show. And then how was it with your friend group? I mean, did you have a select couple friends that had no idea, or are you pretty open with your support system and friends that you hang out with? Were they like, oh, yeah, here they go?
This is good.
Yeah. We're open books. Like we will be an open book to anybody meet in public, friends, especially friends. Like we're really big on we surround ourselves with, and like having that tribe of just like like-minded people. Like I can confidently say like going into the show, that was something that's like always been really big for us. Overall, the feedback from our friends was like either kind of like family, like, oh, okay, but all right, good luck, have fun, or like, fuck yeah, like just really like supportive. Since we got back from the show, there actually were a couple that like were not in full support of it. But, I think what we realized is that, if we're not going to be supported about something that like really makes us happy and is who we truly are. And it's not even more like I found so much about myself and himself while we were on that like filming for the show about our sexualities. And
Lauren truly opened up about being bisexual. She's always been bi-curious up to this point. And then in the resort, both her and Brittany came to the realization like, hey, I am bisexual and it's okay for me to be open and be vocal about that. I'm like, fuck yes, Lauren. Fuck yes, Brittany. I'm like, fucking own that shit. And it was so fucking beautiful to see and hear them both open up.
So like
I replayed those parts like 100 times. I'm like, I need to replay that again. Chills, need to replay that again.
Yeah. It was, the growth that so many of us had on that, it really was like a retreat without us even knowing what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah.
And so like coming back, we both said, like, I don't care, honestly, because we were nervous going into it. Like, what are our clients going to think? What are our friends going to think? Our family? Those were conversations we were having nonstop before we left for Panama. Yeah. But we got back, it was like, I don't care what anybody says or thinks. We are so confident now in our decision and like what we stand for and our relationship and marriage. So for some of the friends that didn't really support it or get it, and that kind of came to the surface following us getting back, we just were like, I think this is like our way of being able to see the universe showing us like, these people honestly just weren't meant for us, but it's going to bring in better and more.
Exactly. Most of our friends were very supportive. We are very blessed to be,
or we've even
so
inspired
many,
to
so many loving
have them
friends. And yeah, it's
open up their
inspired,
relationships.
inspired a lot to open up their relationships as well, which is absolutely amazing. But
Mhm.
like Lauren said, we also had friends that were just not supportive and not understanding of it. And we had to go our separate paths. And that also was a very good warning lesson and really good for our personal growth. To understand, like, it's okay to let go of certain friends. They're
That's
not going to be
hard for us to
supporting.
do.
They're not going to be supporting you.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so you're going to be able to bring in more like-minded people. So you're going to attract that energy after you do that. And holy
Mhm.
shit, that's exactly what happened. Because when we were losing a lot of our not a lot, but just a couple of our really close friends, I was like, damn, that I cannot believe that. That is just so unfortunate. And I'm just so sad about that. But it came full circle, and we now have so many more friends that are attracted and inspired and show us that kind of love, and support when it comes
Mhm.
to monogamy.
I think that's the fear of so many of what is my inner circle going to think of me? Am I going to lose people? And I always say it clears up space for things that you never imagined and interactions with people that you never could have dreamed of. It's okay. I think it's hard for us as adults of we have friendships and we hold on to those super close. And it's almost this fear of
Yeah.
failure if we lose those people around us. And like you said, it's 2024. I mean, so many people are like, well, why would you do an episode like this? Why not? I think us as women, we go to college and it's like, oh, well, it's just a phase. You're just having a phase. It's just a moment. And then I think when it comes to women in polyamory, I think so many people have voted on this in the polls of it's considered attractive. It's considered something that just get it out of your system. And for men, it's such a negative thing of it's just for sexual purposes. It's just for sexual gratification.
Why you
And I'm
brought
like,
that up?
hmm.
Yeah.
There's been a handful that either read us or read Dylan, watching the initial episodes or watching some of the episodes in the beginning. I feel like kind of came off for like, I'm just doing this for him. And it's like, wait, hold up. No, like again, like, finding my sexuality and, obviously Brittany and others on the show, like we're all finding ourselves. Like that's where like, again, like when you're doing it for the wrong reasons, okay,
Mhm.
it does seem like I take the heat sometimes a little bit more, but like, it's crazy how fast people just like jump to something or like just like jump to a conclusion when you're so right. Like it's for both of us, not just doing it for him
Mhm.
for the physical side of things.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then it is just unfortunate because a lot of people will see that we're in a polyamorous relationship, and the amount of comments that we have received, oh, you're just doing it for Dylan to have a side piece or something of that nature. There's kind of comments. I'm like, little do you know, like I'm doing this for us and doing
Mhm.
this for my wife who is bisexual. And I've actually, she's explored her sexuality over the last several years. And she just now is able to open up to this because of polyamory.
And to have a supportive partner, it's again, it's like, it's just bringing us together so much closer. Is that, and it's nowhere near driving us apart, like,
And that's the crazy thing
yeah.
too. Is like, and we don't expect other people to understand unless you kind of go through it yourself. Because when it first happened with us, when we had our first, throuple experience, so to speak, we didn't plan it. We had no idea what even just happened. All we knew was that we enjoyed it, and it brought Lauren and I even closer together. We were already close as shit, but the fact that we were reflecting, like, damn, I feel like I love you even more. How is that even possible?
We're like, what just happened there?
Do you feel that way? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, same. Do you want to keep exploring this and seeing what happens from here? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh yeah. Okay, let's do it, babe.
I loved how you presented yourselves individually, but also as a team. I think that we live in a world where we are looked at for our physical appearance. It just is what it is. And people come to their ideas of what they think you are as a person. When you guys walked on, so many people are like, oh, they're great looking. And, it was interesting because I go on all the blogs, I read on all this stuff. It's amazing to me, the
Yeah.
people that judge physical first versus who you are on the inside. I think you guys were so well displayed, and you guys were yourselves. You guys came across very quickly as who you are, kind of like, I don't give a shit attitude. This is what we want. This is what we're looking for. If we find it, great. And if we don't, we have each other. But I think that so many of us are looked at of, oh, we have, with men, we have the muscles, but not the brains. Women, we have the beauty, but not the brain. And you guys like submerged everything into this bubble of stating you can look good and have the physical attraction and have that emotional and spiritual connection. It can all come together if you communicate and if you know exactly what it is that you're looking for and allow that to kind of come and meet you in the middle. Because I know you guys were judged out there for every single thing you did, said. I'm like, my God.
Yeah.
No, that's why we had to take us, like, we're pretty good at that, like not immersing ourselves in that negativity, but it's so easy to get sucked into that. I think I read one and I was like, what? Can't look again. We're done. We're not, I'd rather just not know what anybody's saying. But it's so crazy. You're right. Like, I feel like the common things like Dylan, muscles, testosterone, manly.
Typical bodybuilder shit. I mean, it's just the stereotype. And I knew that was how I was going to be, thought of by first seeing me. Becca was a perfect example. She thought I was a macho man. And when she got to learn that I was very emotional, I'm a very emotional guy.
I say he's more emotional than me. Like,
yeah, I'm just, I'm just a big ass teddy bear that wants to love and want others to feel loved.
Well, funny thing, is people don't know us, and if you got to know us or learn anything about us, like something we do, we're bodybuilding coaches and primarily coach females, figure, bikini, and with that, to be a really good coach, you have to be in tune and understand the feminine female side of hormones.
Absolutely. You have to be willing to listen. And I'm blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing clients and amazing women because they have taught me how to be a better husband and be a, future dad that I'm so excited for. It's allowed me to, just become more vulnerable and listen to people and allow them to be heard. Because that goes a long way.
So you guys were not new to polyamory when you went into the house. You were very open about that. So the big question, so putting you guys in the hot seat, what did you guys learn from other castmates, people in the house? What did you learn about polyamory that you didn't know before from someone that was new to the community?
Ooh, I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
I was like, she already knows. She's like, oh, I know. Oh, I got one.
I think what we learned the most, I'm curious to hear if this is like your same answer, but there's so many different approaches to polyamory. There isn't just one definition or one type, but it's really cool that with you live the lifestyle, you can accept everybody's choices when it comes to it, even if it may not be what works for your relationship. So I know like Bree and Sean, they were pretty similar to us, where they were going to bring in a female. They already have like a very strong relationship there, but
Corey and Wilder,
their dynamic.
Their dynamic was different than what we've had experience with because they separate. And
that was their experience.
That was their experience. Yeah, they were doing things separate, and that's actually one of Lauren and I's boundaries. We choose to do things together. We don't ever really want to separate at all because we want to see each other in that experience because that's what elevates our love.
But it's cool to see, like, for them, like, Corey could go off with another girl and like have her own thing. And, he could take the backseat or he could bring in somebody too. It was really cool to see like that kind of separate dynamic, but it worked really, really well for them. So it's kind of, I think, learning that there's just, and then there's triads, a closed triad. So just 3, and you're not opening that more. There's the open triad. So you can have multiple partners or that partner can have multiple, like there's just all these different types of terminology and like approaches. But
yeah. And I think also, people get caught up in all the different definitions and terminologies when it comes to love. They're like, well, what would I be? Or what does this classify me as? And I'm like, I just encourage people to, again, have an open mind and don't necessarily try to fall within any of these categories that you're reading about or that you're seeing. And just do what works best for you and your partners. And that's what it is. Like, don't try to fit in these categories. Like
Mhm.
your kind of experience and your kind of love is your own personal path. Follow that
And that's
path.
okay though.
And
Like
that's
it's cool.
okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, and I think that's something, I mean, you're even trying to like, we're like we're learning so much from like Maxwell and Ash. They were telling us
Yeah,
a
they're
lot.
very well
I'm like,
versed.
holy
Yeah.
shit, you guys have great experience and I want to learn.
Yeah.
And I
Mhm.
was like, what would we be considered, in that dynamic? And I was like, no, I was getting caught up in it. I was like, this is the way that we go about it. And it doesn't need to be defined by anybody else other than us.
Mhm. What are you most proud of each other in this experience that you never thought would happen in the house?
Again, I mean, about Lauren opening up about being bisexual and being okay with it and stepping into that power and just stepping into that love of who she truly is and not giving a fuck about what anybody else thinks. Cause I'm like,
He knows me. I used to
I
care
love
so much. So
she's grown so much and I'm so proud of her because luckily, like I always kind of like, I take things lightly. I don't care what
Mhm.
people really think about me. They have their opinions and, they're entitled to their opinion. But Lauren's always kind of taken things to heart because Lauren wants to be loved by everybody because she's just a sweetheart herself. But to be able to just kind of like take things more with a grain of salt and just do things based upon her own personal happiness,
Mhm.
that is everything.
Yeah. And then I'd say, thanks. That is.
Uh,
Like I said, I don't want to break into that. That was so nice. For Dylan, I would say that it was really special to see him be okay with maybe sometimes not being okay. Because like Dylan always wants everything. We're very positive people. So he always wants things to be light and positive. But, I really actually saw him be more aware and more vulnerable to the fact that sometimes there were a lot of emotions or he was feeling a different type of way, maybe whether that was jealousy or just whether that was when we had the experience of, like the unequalness. Like it was really cool to see Dylan be able to now realize kind of when it's okay or better to talk about those things instead of just actively everything's okay and happy, dandy, like now being more real with himself, which is really, really
I'm
cool.
definitely an optimistic
But I
person.
love that about Dylan so much.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
she's allowed me to break down my walls and like, understand it's okay to be vulnerable. And it's actually, it's
It doesn't make you
opening up and being more vulnerable has allowed me to just grow in so many ways, more so than not. And I have her to thank for that.
You can see that through each episode because you can read that all over your face. Every episode, you can tell when these walls are kind of breaking down and you're starting to get vulnerable because you go
Really?
from the first episode of like, hey, like you just show up, you're excited, but you could tell you're kind of like, there's still a little boundary there. By, I would say, episode maybe 7 or 8, you're just softer. You appeared
Yeah.
I
so much
appreciate that.
softer
That's
because you were learning.
That's cool
Mhm.
to hear from your point of view. So thanks for sharing that. That's amazing because that's exactly what I did experience. I was learning throughout the entire process. And that's exactly what I felt too. So thank
Mhm.
you.
And there was this trade-off because in the beginning, like you were more the first to step up or speak out. And then I would say there was like this shift midway of where Lauren started speaking up first. And you kind of almost just kind of still stood beside her, but you were like, And you could tell like mentally you were internally
That's-
working things out. I'm like, what's going on over there? Like, this is interesting. And as so many people are like, I didn't pick that up. I'm like, have you checked your energies lately? Like, are you in tune? Because you can see
Yeah.
it. You could tell it was all over your face for sure.
Yeah, you're exactly right though. Cause it's like, I started to, just listen even further and just kind of figure out, not act and just kind of let Lauren kind of guide too.
That's
more.
really, I think, one of the bigger takeaways because that first throuple experience prior to the show, I think that's why it didn't work out. We didn't know what we were doing, and it was just a lot of the unknown. It was exciting and cool and special too because it was a really close friend of ours. But I feel like because like Dylan is a very excited person and like can be, but to some people that could come off very like kind of take them back a little bit, like he's like too excited or but I think that really is what we took away from it and why things have been so successful since the show and our exploration of polyamory is that now because I know like who I am more, like I am kind of taking the lead in the beginning first and then Dylan will kind of slowly enter in. It's just been a lot more, I guess, gentle approach and not so overwhelming maybe for somebody. And it's really, really working really well. It's cool that you could see that through the episodes. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, because you guys came in the first time. I'm like, oh, this guy, here he comes. Like,
This
very
guy.
much kind of like me, like bull in a china shop, ready to just break walls down, break everything open, get started,
go.
like here to party, have a good time. And by
Let's
midway, you were just like, I'm here. Like you were there, but you were like present in like this very weird, energetic way. I'm like, this is cool
Being
to
present.
watch.
Absolutely. Yeah, you nailed it. Fuck yeah.
All right. So everybody wants to know, where are we at now? Are you guys with Jess? Are you guys not with Jess? Because I didn't spoil anything because you guys kind of throw little teasers on your Instagram stories. I didn't say a word. Where are we at?
Really confusing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
So I know the show we're allowed to talk about. I know the show shows that like we broke up like 2 months after and we're just friends. We actually have been together ever since the show, but it has been long distance and it has been just 100% emotional. We'll try our best to like go to Texas where she lives, or sometimes she's out in Arizona. We have a lot of the same passions: fitness, bodybuilding, music festivals. So there's so many times throughout the year that we've been able to kind of like see each other. But we realized since the show, because remember, like I said, like it was like, okay, how do we integrate this into the real world? Or like, what does this dynamic look like? And we realized like we are supposed to be in her life, but for more so supporting her, finding her true person. And because she wants to settle down with somebody,
And she's looking for her person. And yeah, that's why we're really excited to be vocal about our kind of dynamic with Jess, because it has never been sexual. It is truly an emotional dynamic that we are truly thankful for. And we've had so many conversations with Jess. We figured out like why we are meant to be in her life. And it is, she's went up and said that we have showed her what true love is. And now she knows what she can search for and look for in her future man that she wants to, look the rest of her life with too, which was so fucking beautiful to hear and just to support her throughout that. And, we text on a daily basis with her. It's cool for us to talk about like, who we're going on a date with or who she's going to be going on a date with. She's like, what do you think about this guy? Like, give me your insight, because we'll be straight up with her, as we know she'll be straight up with us too.
So we realized like twin dynamic is what is working for us, or like what we took away from it. So like that relationship's still there, but then we know that we love quality time. We love doing things. So that is hard long distance. And because we know like what our role is in her life, just supporting her and more emotionally, we wanted to open that up, or we plan on opening that up with somebody here. So we've like met, some people along that time, since the show. And so we've kept her in the loop, and, whether that she meets them or gets to know about them, like we just all communicate, which is really cool.
Cool. For those 92 to 95%, just go ahead and play that last 2 minutes back, because polyamory is not about sex. They just said emotional connection. That is what they have with her. And it didn't start off that way, and it's still available. There is an emotional connection and a bond, and they are learning from this person probably forever. So that leads me into the big topic. There is a new aspect of life outside of polyamory that's happening for you guys. You are going into parenthood, and I am so excited to share that. How freaking cool is that?
Right? I know.
Chills.
So we're chills.
We wake up so happy and that much more excited every single day. The first thing we do, check the bump. How's the bump looking? And she is bumping.
Oh,
Brindley Bear.
Yes.
Expected 7-11 this year.
I know. It's
that's
so
a
crazy.
good date.
Right?
That's what we
all
said.
about the numerology too. I was like, all right, little magical intuitive baby over here. We're 23 weeks right now, so we're halfway done. And it's funny. I just feel like we hope we're big on divine timing. I think that
this pregnancy was supposed to happen during this time frame.
Yeah, I definitely think it was supposed to, or at least so. Like, there was like a month. This was probably like August, where I thought I was, but it was more of like a chemical pregnancy. So it didn't like last. But that was where we started to like talk about like, I thought I was like, oh my God, like, what if we are like, and then kind of got sad when it didn't happen. It's like, maybe this does mean like, this is the time to start trying. We love to travel. We are always doing something. So I felt like probably would have easily been just like, not right now. Not right now. But, I think coming back from that experience of truly finding ourselves even that much more, like just exacerbated that love, like even more for one another. I truly think like just the timing of everything is really how that happened or why it happened when it did.
Yeah. And of course, now with the show live and people knowing that we are pregnant, the question is like, how's this going to work with polyamory that's interested in, having these kind of relationships? And at first, I'll let Lauren speak on this. At first, during that first trimester, we didn't know. So we're just kind of taking things day by day. That's how we live life in the moment. And we kind of just take things as they go. And because feelings and emotions change. But during that first trimester, Lauren had the conversation. I'm so proud of her for speaking up. She's like, I think I just want to, put a pause on, on having dating other women. And I was like, absolutely. This is a time for us. So let's do that.
Yeah. And that was big too, because we even had that conversation coming back from the show. Like, when that time comes and we start having kids, how will that look? It's just like, you don't know really until it happens. So yeah, like that first trimester, I was just, I getting hormones, emotions, just something so new. It is so intimate. Like I wanted to keep that, which we have the choice. We can choose to end or stop, or we could choose to open that up. We do it together and just always communicate. So then like, as the second trimester rolled around, I started to feel a little bit more like myself again. And, we did start dating again. And I can confidently say, I know Dylan can too, like we want to continue polyamory even when she's born, because how we view that, it's just more support, more love.
This baby's going to be so loved. And we're so excited about it. And again, we're going to be vocal about it. We want people to ask us these kind of questions, and we encourage anything and everything that people have to say about marriage and our, baby and our dynamic, because it's very unique. Yeah. But that's one more reason why we are so passionate about getting out there and sharing our personal love story.
I think because it was just like one of the comments that stood out on that post that we recently made. Somebody was like, poor baby. And like, that's her. Because like to us, like we want to be able to let our child or children know, like they're in a household of no judgment and support and maybe doing things outside of the box. And maybe we will encourage them to be the same exact way. They could be, choosing things down the road that we don't get. But, if we can raise them with just nothing but love and that open love, I don't see how that's a negative or a bad thing.
Period.
Yeah. Well, everybody says when you raise a child, it's a village that raises a child. And with what you're doing, it ebbs and flows. So there may be times that are great for you to do it. And there may be times that it's just not the right timing. And it's something that is beautiful because you choose when it fits and you choose when it does not. And it's amazing because you're having a baby and you're choosing your village. Like, what better way of support? That's what everybody wants for their children growing up. You want them loved and protected and understood. And they may not understand the way that you live or the way that you choose to live, but that's behind closed doors. And I think it's something where this show kind of just ripped that Band-Aid off of let's talk about it, not behind closed doors. And it's okay if you live this way. And it's okay if you choose not to live this way. Everybody's different. But like Dylan said, it is 2024. Can we just ball up a little bit and just start talking about stuff that's just different? Because I think it's about that time.
Fuck yes.
Woo!
Yes. Damn.
Because I think it's just been so judged. I mean, it's something, this has been around for a long time. People just are now choosing to talk about it.
Yes. But again, we're all about, it's 2024. We are here to normalize polyamory.
And we knew that like doing this, and once it came out, like I said, don't care what anybody thinks because we know how happy we are and how beautiful this is for our relationship and marriage. But we knew that we were going to not be the pioneers, essentially. But there's really no show out there like this.
Mm-mm.
And so I think there's maybe a couple shows that like have talked about polyamory in the last like 10 years. So we knew that like it was going to be a very taboo subject and we were going to be the face of that. But
Mm-hmm.
we're okay with that because I know that it's going to help support and open up so many people, maybe just as much as the hate. But as long as we're helping people out of this, which we know we are, that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm. Last question for this episode. So many people want to know. And yes, I'm curious. Did you guys watch the show? Did you watch yourselves?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We did watch parties.
We did watch parties every single. We were in a different city every single fucking drop.
Oh, it was. We made it like an event every Thursday. We were like a group of people like ready to go to watch it. It was interesting to watch it back.
Because also like, you know, we had this conversation with all the cast members and we came to, you know, understand like, hey, we know the end of it. We know what happens after the show it was out. Like we know how we are living life today. So just embrace whatever is aired on screen and learn to laugh at every face.
It is funny to see like when sounds were thrown in or pauses were thrown in. It was just like fun to watch a lot because we don't know how that was gonna like come out. Like we know our side of it, what actually happened, but just to see, you know, the edits and stuff was actually really fun.
It was hilarious. Yeah.
Did you find it was? Did you find like it was a form of therapy? Was it like therapy to watch certain things all over again? Because I hear a lot of reality stars that come on here. They're like, it was almost a form of therapy to like rewatch things that like I was almost like out of body experience, able to see it from the outside.
Yeah. You know, I'd say a combination. I think a combination of therapy, but then also like there's moments where I was like literally watching that and getting like anxious. Like, oh my God, why am I getting so nervous? Like I was there, like when there was like a fight about to happen or like an argument, like those feelings that I was feeling then brought me, I was like PTSD, but it like literally felt like we were back in it almost. But, you know, I think it was more, I think actually what was so special about it was because we were, for most of them, watching it with either family or friends. So like finally they get to see like what we went through and like hear the reactions and hear their thoughts like while we're sitting there watching it.
Yeah, you know, it was so cool to be able to share again because it was a whole year after. We had to be hush hush and to be able to finally see that aired and be vocal about it. And
like, oh, finally,
breath of fresh air. Holy shit, you've been bottling this stuff.
I mean, hiding a part of us that we learned, you know, like really talk about polyamory or the show. We couldn't. So it was like hiding and bottling up, and we don't hide who we are. So that was hard. Like it was actually more of a release of the show without fighting.
Yeah, and it was really cool to watch it all over again, even though we lived there. It's like wild, but throughout the drops, it was cool to Lauren and I were having the conversation just to see like, oh, you can see us growing throughout the entire series. And just to reflect a whole year after that, the amount of growth that we've had since then has been fucking amazing. I'm just, every time we were watching the show, I was just like, I am so glad that we did this. And you know, we keep thanking each other. Like we're like, yo, thanks for being you. For experiencing that. What each other
together.
It's so cool. We're very thankful.
Well, I'm really honored to have you guys on because you're showing the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between when it comes to what this lifestyle looks like. But you're also showing a sense of normalcy that this isn't just for TV. This is real life. You're ebbing and flowing. Absolutely. You're becoming parents, which is super exciting. And you're figuring it out as you go. And the big thing is communication. And I love how you two communicate. It's beautiful because you still, just the way you look at each other, there's something there. You're so great together. You have this beautiful bond. And I love that you guys still, there's like this little like butterfly energy excitement between you two, which was on screen and it's here. And you still continue to say thank you and I love you, which I think we don't say to enough people these days.
Every fucking day.
That is a reminder to everybody. Turn to your partner. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for being you.
Absolutely fucking love you.
Yep. Well, I'll put all your information in the bio description. If you guys have not followed them on Instagram, let me tell you, you're missing out. If you have not seen this show, let's check in about a week or two because you guys are going to binge it. Can't wait to hear. The polls are done. They are shut down. No negative comments. If you don't like this lifestyle, it's not for you. And if you love it, well, follow what they're doing, follow suit, and learn to just love as much as possible because that's what we're here for.
Yes.
Much
all the love.
love. Thank you so much for this. This was awesome.
Yeah,
We
thank
appreciate
you so much.